Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to just apologize for our Director of International Assets, Ramon Panov. He was meant to give this paper and unfortunately had to return to Moscow for an urgent meeting. So I've been given the honor of reading the paper for him. Doing business in Africa, challenges and the long-term potential. I think we all have been speaking about a similar topic, the opportunities of working in Africa and the priorities that go with that. Firstly, mineral-rich continent, huge untapped value to be unlocked. There's been a significant input of foreign direct investment into the continent over the past while, and just in the period from 2010 to 2011, the growth was at 27%. The other important issue with regards to Africa is obviously the balance between private enterprise and the state, and the amount of cooperation between the two is critical in ensuring the long-term ventures remain positive. One of the areas that we do have an opportunity to work on and grow is in terms of the workforce. Ramon has mentioned here that we have the possibility to take over the role of the Chinese role of the world supply of the most effective workforce in terms of price and quantity. Obviously that needs significant amounts of investment and also cooperation between the private enterprise and the states and countries that we do business in. Just a couple of points about some of the countries that we are interested in. The South African Republic. Obviously, it's the economic powerhouse of Africa, and we already are based here in terms of our venture with African Rainbow Minerals in Mpumalanga. We also have a mine in Botswana, and Botswana seems to have got the balance right between what is good for the state as well as what is good for the private enterprise that they do business with. And as well, we seem to have reasonable tax rates that allow the businesses to prosper. Zambia, obviously the copper potential in that country is huge and is showing good potential in terms of the new copper boom that is coming through. Zimbabwe, as we all know, got huge potential for growth, got a wealth of natural resources, and I hope that in the near future they'll be able to get past their current challenging issues and be able to prosper. And then just lastly, Namibia, high up on the favourable radar for us, again because of stability with regards to the economy and the government that has been there. This is a bit of a busy spreadsheet, but really it's just to try and group together government regulations on mining and metals. And when you study the questions that have been asked and the points that have been marked off, you'll note that regulations and for doing business are practically quite similar for countries where they are focused on mining issues, in particular copper, nickel, the PGM ores. However, one of the outliers again is Zimbabwe, but the rest of them generally tend to follow the same rules and attract the same kind of mining business. Looking at more in particular at South Africa, its competitive advantages. The rationale for strategic focus on South Africa, as I've mentioned previously, we are already in South Africa. It is the leading economy in Africa. Got a huge amount of resources still left in the ground. One of the world's richest countries in terms of mineral resources. And I'm glad my numbers is the same as Cynthia's. An estimated institute value of $2.5 trillion US. Currently at the moment the country risks are still acceptable, and we've got a huge developed market of engineering, construction contractors, as well as a well-developed and solid financial institution. The skilled labour market that is present in the country also assists in terms of growth and developing of business. And in 2011, South Africa joined the BRICS State of Nations. Growing capital investments into mining, this slowed down in the last year or so, but still there is a large inflow of capital into the country for new projects, and particularly in the mining arena. And then just again from the government side, which is trying to develop and create a favourable condition for international business, which is interested in the mining and processing of metals in the Republic of South Africa, and together with the beneficiation that is needed to take those metals to a further level beyond just concentrates or raw products. With the opportunities come some challenges, and we've seen in the last year or so the challenges that have occurred, particularly in the platinum industry, which is at this stage one of the biggest mining sectors in the country. In 2012, that market effectively moved into a deficit, and with that we had the labour disputes that came about mainly over wages, and the aftermath that really imposed a serious threat on the industry. There's also been virtually static or slow growth at previously closed operations or operations that are trying to get out of a long period of static movement. We are very closely associated as well with the palladium market, and I'll show you a slide in the next slide. And we expect the palladium market to very much track along the same way as platinum has done. Huge concerns with the rapidly rising costs that are occurring, as well as the low levels of output that are currently being seen out of most of the major mines, is a concern, and this is obviously having an impact on the cash costs of these operations. And then again, the high inflation that is being seen within the sector, which is way above what the prices are actually able to track. So therefore, key risks for the PGM industry: rising costs, capital project execution, maintaining a social license to operate, the volatility of price and currencies. We really need to have stable kind of conditions so that we can predict and look forward going into the future as to how our operations and our markets are going to do. Infrastructure access, and then also with the growth that is expected, the rising issue of skills shortage. The operating environment for South African producers deteriorated during 2012, and as a consequence of high and rising costs, inadequate prices, softening demand, labour unrest, and for some a very high level of safety stoppages. This is just a world map trying to give you an indication of where Norilsk nickel is in the world, and where we're starting to spread out to. You can see obviously our main focus area is in Russia, with our major operational divisions up in the north, actually above the Arctic Circle, so very, very harsh environment to work in. We only get access into those operations for the summer periods, and that's through icebreakers, but producing significant amounts of nickel as well as palladium. Just to the west, we have our Kola operations, which is near Murmansk, and then also have a smelting and refining operation in Finland at Harjavalta. There are sales offices and representative offices in London, Zug in Switzerland, as well as in China, in Beijing, Shanghai, and Hong Kong. Moving further down south, we've got a small operational facilities in Australia, on the western side of Australia. And then moving back to Africa, where we have a nickel mine that we own 50-50 with African Rainbow Minerals, and then a further nickel mine up in Francistown in Botswana. The pie charts at the bottom side of the table just give an indication of our influence in terms of metal productions. Obviously, we are, in terms of platinum, the fourth largest producer of platinum behind Anglo Platinum. And in terms of palladium, we actually are the largest producer of palladium. Again, I named Norilsk nickel obviously because of the production of nickel, largest producer of nickel in the world. As I said, largest producer of palladium, and then also significant quantities of platinum and copper, with other byproducts such as chromium, cobalt, silver, gold, and all the other PGMs. Norilsk nickel comes to the market with a unique experience in prospecting, exploration, extraction, and processing of the minerals that we work with, as well as being able to market and sell base and precious metals. The byproducts help us considerably in terms of cash costs, particularly at our Russian assets, and in some cases we are actually producing nickel at a negative cash cost. For the past three years, our market capitalization has increased by just over 30%. In terms of revenue breakdown, nickel is by far the largest contributor to our revenue, followed by copper, palladium at 15%, and then platinum and gold make up the other 10%. As I've mentioned, production facilities are in Russia, Australia, Botswana, Finland, and South Africa. And then we also have a global network of offices for mainly sales distribution through Russia, United Kingdom, China, America, and Switzerland. I'm not going to go into detail in terms of our reserves and resources, but it's fair to say that we have still got significant amounts of nickel and copper, platinum, palladium, mainly at our Russian assets, but also within the rest of the countries that we do business in. Just in conclusion, Norilsk Nickel's competitive advantages, I think it's clear by now to say that we have a very good exposure to international practices and technologies in PGMs and base metals. The company is in a very strong financial position, strong standards in terms of safety, environmental protection, as well as in the social arena, and I can vouch with regards to good relations with businesses, and particularly South African partners. Our partners at African Rainbow Minerals, where we have a 50-50 JV in Mpumalanga. We get on very well. We exchange technical and operational managerial issues, and I think we do have a very good relationship with them, and hopefully we can build on that. World #1 palladium producer, and again, as I said, it's a key producer in Russia, and we also take the metal not just to final stage, we actually take it into applicational use as well. We are planning in the next 10 or so years to double our PGM output as per our production strategy, and we have, as you had seen on the previous slide, significant amounts of resources and reserves from which we can do that and sustainably grow. PGM production, particularly from the Polar division, is expected to keep on increasing until past 2020. The company has had a long and successful history, over 75 years in Russia, as I say, mainly in the Polar Circle area, and it's now started developing outside of the Russian borders, and we've moved into Australia, South Africa, Botswana, and looking for further development as well. We have a unique set of core competencies in production, engineering, management, as well as sales. And I think for Norilsk Nickel, this Indaba and the participation here is invaluable to the company. Thank you very much.